Okay, so today we're going to be drawing 6, which is a source stool, and we've got our orthogonal view here. We've got our side elevation, we've got our plan view, and we've got elevation, plan view, and side elevation, and we've also got a section here. So the section is 1 to 1, whereas the rest of our drawing is 1 to 5. So we've got a few critical measurements on here. We've got our overall length, our overall height. We have a ratio for our legs here, 1 to 4, which means our legs, for every 4 they come down, they go out 1. So we have to use that ratio to determine how far out our legs are going to come with our overall height. Okay, that's also the same for the side elevation, and also we'll use that to project down for our legs in our plan view. So the first thing we want to do is plan out our page. We've got some overall dimensions here. We've got obviously 865 and 600. If we're trying to figure out the width of this one, then we're going to have to figure out a few things, like using our ratios. So let's figure out on our side elevation first, right? Our normal elevation. We've got 4 to 1. So if we're 600 high, then that means if we do 600 divided by 4, that will give us the 1. So that means from this point here, we have to come across this way 150. Okay. It also means from this point up here to this point out here, we have to go out 150 as well. Okay, so when we're going to try and figure out this overall dimension, we have to do this, right? We go 150 on this side, and we've also got 150 on this side from our top corner to the outside of our leg. But if we zoom in and look at this section, we can figure out the dimension across the top. So we know that the timber across the top is 90 mil wide. So from here to the other side is going to be 90 mil. And we've also got this 5 extra millimeters from the corner of our leg to the starting point of our top of our source stool. So that means the overall dimension across the top is going to be 100. So across the bottom here, from the outside of this foot to the outside of this foot, we can add those 3 up, and it's going to give us 400. Okay, our scale is 1 to 5, so we know that just before we go on, that 400 here is also going to be our 400 this way. Okay, now our scale is 1 to 5, so we have to divide some of these numbers by 5. So 400 divided by 5 is going to be 80. So on our page it's going to be 80. And up here, 865 divided by 5, let's do that quickly, is going to be 173. So working from left to right, we know we've got a gap here, a gap in the middle, a gap on the right hand side, and our total drawing dimensions are 173 and 80. Okay, so that's going to equal 173 plus 80 is 253. Now the overall width of our page is 390, so we'll do 390 minus 253 equals 137. Right, we have to divide that equally into 3 spaces. So 137 divided by 3 equals 45.6 or 45. We're going to just do 45. So let's come across from the left. 45, we can make a little marker and margin if you want to. You can block your square off so it doesn't go anywhere. And let's put in our first line here to give us a nice point to work towards. And then we're going to come across 173, so 45 plus 173 is going to be 218. So we should bring it all the way across to 218. Okay, just there. I'm going to put a nice faint line down the page. And then we've got another gap here, so we're going to add another 45.6. That's going to get us over to 264. And then we're going to have a vertical line down the page, nice and fine. And then we've also got one last line to put in, which is going to be over 80 mil from that. So 344 on our square, so 344. And we can just mark that down the page there like that. Now we need to do our vertical one. So we've got 600 divided by 5 equals 120. So we know that this is 120 high, and we know that this is 400 wide, which we did before. So we divide that by 5, we got 80. So 120 plus 80 equals 200, and the overall size of our page should be 276. Yep. So 276 minus 200 equals 76, and then we've got to divide that by, we've got one gap up at the top, one gap through the middle, one at the bottom, so divide by 3 equals 25. So let's come up from the bottom, 25 mil. Remember, we only have to draw this first line, very first line, just across to our middle one. Okay, so we're going to come up 25. So that's going to bring me to there. And let me just draw that in for you. And then our next one up will be 80 mil up from that. So that's going to take me to 100 and that's 11 there. And our next line up will be 25 up from that. That can go the whole way across the page this time. And our next one up from that will be 120 up from that. So 136 plus 120 is 256. Okay, and that should be about roughly 25 or 26 mil down from the top of the page. So pretty good. Fantastic. That's fantastic. Alright, so where should we start the drawing? I think we should start with this elevation up here, because then we can transfer some of our lines down onto this one down here. So let's start with a nice solid line right across the top. It's going to be the top of our saw stool. And then remembering our dimensions are 90 by 45. So 45 divided by 5 equals 9. So we're going to come down 9 mil from the top of that, which brings us down to where's that, 256. So I'm going to be down to 247. I'm just going to do this one really faintly, okay, because we've got some legs to draw in there too. We might have to rub out part of that line for our legs. Our legs, how far in are our legs? I think that the outsides of our legs line up with the outside of the vertical the horizontal support up the top. So what we need to do is go from this bottom corner up, and we're coming across 150. So let's go up to the very top, and 150, 150, but that's before we converted to our scale. So we're going to divide that by 5 to get what it is in our 1:5 ratio, which is 30 mil. So we're going to come across 30 mil. Okay, and we're going to draw, we're going to connect those two lines together. Just like that. Okay. Now these legs, pretty sure they're also 90 mil wide. So what we can do is make sure you come across square 90 mil, which is actually divide that by 5, 18. So it's 18 mil. The reason we've got to do it square is because if you did it this way, you would be short. It wouldn't be the right size of the timber. So put your square along that edge. Okay, you can measure 18, and then you can do the exact same this way. So that squares on that first pencil line. 18, and then we can connect those two dots all the way up to the bottom side of the vertical part. Okay, so this is one leg almost finished. I'm just going to rub out this part of that line just while I can, before we go on too much further. And also draw this vertical line in here. And a lot of people make that mistake and then they carry that line all the way through. So there we've got our first little bit there. Then we can come down 140. Okay, 140 divided by 5 to get our scale is 28. So from this point here, they're going to come down 28. And I don't know if we have a dimension for that timber there. I think we're just going to make it 20 mil thick. So 20 divided by 5 equals 4 mil. So we can come off, square off that line 4 mil. And continue that all the way back up into there. And we'll just go over that faint line there just to make it a bit clearer. And there's the first part of our elevation done. So we can do this side now, doing the exact same process. Just going to square this line down here for you. We're going to come back over 30 mil. And then we can connect those 2 points together, this bottom corner to that top line there. Just like that. Remember before we came across square from that line, and we came over 18 mil. So square up there, square down here. And then connect those together, dot to dot. Whoops, just gonna rub that line out while we've got a chance. And then I'm gonna square that line up to the top. Oops. And I'm going to draw that one across there. And then the same thing, we're gonna come down 28. Is it? Yep. Come down 28. Out 4. And back up into there. Good. How's that look? Pretty good? How's yours looking? Like that? Just going to go over this middle line to make that a bit darker. And there's our elevation at the top. So, what we can do now is go for this bottom drawing. So, we need to find the center so that we can draw our 90mm timber in. So the center of this rectangle here, we had 80mm, so we should be up 40. And either side of that, because it's 90mm wide, we do 90 divided by 5 is 18, and divided by 2, so it'd be 9mm either side of that 40 mark. So, I'm just going to draw a little faint mark there. So, 9mm down, gets me at 61. I'm just going to draw this really faintly, okay, because again, we might need to rub out parts of it for our legs to sit down. And 79. So there's that. Now we've got our legs to draw. So what we can do is project these lines down, just like this, really faintly. I'm going to lock this square off actually. To get these parts. Okay, and in our section we've got that we're recess 10mm in and we sit 5mm out. So 10 divided by 5 is 2mm, 5 divided by 5 is 1mm. So what we can do is put our square back on that line, come up 1mm, draw a solid line between those two marks, and then we're going to come down 2mm off that line, and again draw two solid marks, and that's where our feet go, our legs for our sawsaw. That's these marks in here, okay? Same thing at the bottom, we're going to come up in 2mm, solid line, and 1mm below, just like that. Sorry, a little bit far with that one, sorry. Right, so now we've got to figure out where to connect our lines. So this external corner here goes all the way down to our corner down there. So we can draw those 4 in. Might use the smallest square just because we're freehanding this. Yes, I know this square is probably older than you are. It's the first square ever invented, actually. So we're just connecting those corners up, just like that. And then, what do you think we have to do next? We've got this line. What are we going to do next? We need to figure out where these marks come back in. So let's square these down. From our feet up here, we're just going to square this one down to here, just so that we have a mark to work to on all the sides. Okay, and then they need to be parallel. So this is 19 mil. See, that's only 17 mil, which means that if I made a mark here at 19 mil, we previously had this line coming down here really faintly. What we can do is connect those two lines up, but we want to stop it at that point there. See that? I just stop it at that point because from there it goes up square. Just like in this drawing here. Okay? So we're going to do that everywhere. We're going to come across, we say 19 mil. Yep. So you get 19 on this one too. And I'm going to join those up. And stopping it at that line there. Again up here. And on this side. Go all the way down to seal off those little bits there, just like this. This is definitely the hardest part of this drawing, I think. Right, now we've got that. We can also draw in where this projects down. Okay, so we've got, this is locked off. We've got one spot here. Sorry, let's do this bit first. Okay, so we're going to draw that like that. Might make these lines a bit dark now, but you can see that we're sort of finished. Okay, so let's start projecting those lines down. Next one would be here. Let's do the end of it. Sorry, this part. Yep, we need to mark mark where that intersects there, and then we're gonna mark a really faint line down here, and that, where that intersects, the first one comes out square. Okay, so let me just show you what I've done. I'll be able to see we've got this point here. Right, we need to mark that down. So that is, we just mark that really faintly on our legs there to give us this point. And then we've come across to this point, and we've marked that down really faintly, and then we came across square from there, okay? And then we can make sure it's switched off, and we can connect those two together like this. Excuse me. And we can do the same thing to get this point here. Okay, so I want to really faintly mark that. I can't see that so. And then come across there square. And then join those together. Oh, my little baby square. So that you end up with something that looks like this. You might need to rewatch that a few times if you're a little bit confused, because that is a pretty tricky one. Okay, so what have we got now? We can do the other side. We've got, yeah, we're going to project that down. So we've got this point here. Which is a solid line across. And then at this point here, which we need to draw in very lightly. And then at this point down here, we've got to intersect. And at this point here, we draw it very lightly again. Actually, we can sort of fill it in a bit. Okay, should end up with something. Sorry if my hair is getting in the way, you can't see. Something that looks like this. So we've got those drawn. Now we need to figure out what we're going to do. We're drawing these parts of the feet. Okay, I know this drawing's not finished off yet because we've got still got to draw part of the legs, but I think we need to draw the side elevation before we can draw those in. Okay, so let's finish off this little bit and then we'll come back to this to finish it off. Alright, so let's get on to our side elevation here. So again, up the top we've got to find the center and come 50 mil either way. So 100 divided by 5 is 20, divided by 2 is 10. So we're going to find the center up the top here. We've got 80 overall, so again 40, I'm going to find 40 and come 10 mil either way from that. And that's going to be the top of our saw stool. Next thing we got to do is connect the corners up to this top bit up here. So this bottom corner to the top up there, like that. Same thing on this side. Connect those together. Now, we can use this to give us a little bit of a faint line across there for the underside of our saw stool, and we can also do some solid lines from the underside of this brace the whole way across, and this point here up just a little bit the whole way across, and we can also come in 1 mil from the corner and draw a solid line down to the vertical part. Same on this corner, we're going to come back over to the left 1 mil, draw a solid line down, and then we'll have a we'll come across 2 mil from those lines towards the center and have a hidden detail line on both. Back over 2 mil. Oops, where is it? Yep, there. 2 mil for hidden detail. And this part of the line between the two solid lines will be solid. And then actually the whole thing will be solid because that's where our brace runs across as well. Quite confusing little drawing. Right now we've got to do our legs. So they're 90 by 45, which means our 45 divided by 5 for our scale is 9. So we're coming across 9 mil off square. Top and bottom. And it's going to be solid from those double lines all the way to the bottom, and above that is going to be hidden detail all the way up to the underside of that, like that. Okay, same on this side. We've got 9 mil up here. Sorry, it's a little bit hard for me to see because of the light, but I'm doing my best. So, solid line from there to there. And dash line for hidden detail above that. Then we're gonna make those square. Now we can use this. Now that we've got that, we can use this dimension, which is very close. I'd say it's 10 mil, to come down here. 10 mil to give us the corner of our legs. Like that. Alright, and we want to keep that nice and parallel to this line. So what we're going to do is, on the outside edge of this brace, I'm going to mark 10 mil down from this corner, like the corner of the leg, okay, to there. And I can just join those two up like this. And there we have the corner of our leg. So we've come down here 10 mil, and we've come down parallel with this from there, 10 mil to there, and join those two up. Okay, so we can do that everywhere. Actually looks like 45 degrees. Maybe it's slightly out. Hard to know for sure. Looks pretty close to 45 degrees though. There you go. So there's our plan view. We've got our elevation, our side elevation. Now we just got to draw our scale, our 1:1 scale, one in the corner here. Okay, so looks like we could start that in line with the top of this one. Let's just draw that across there. Alright, and remember we've got, we're doing 1:1, and the ratio for that angle is 1:4. So let's go ahead and draw this timber in first. So I'm just going to come across about 50 mil from the side of that. To there. And I'm going to come down 45. Is that right? Yep, that's right. Wig myself out. So there's our 50. We can join these ones up, and then we've got to draw. We're going to come over 5 mil, and then we've got our angle of 1:4. So if we're down 5 mil, sorry, down 45 mil, we will be over 11 mil plus our 5 mil at the top, so 16 and a quarter. And we might just take this down just in line with the title block. Okay. Actually, we might come up about 5mm for the title block. I'll just put a little faint line across here, and then we'll rub that out to there, up to that line. Okay, and we did say that it was 45 sifting length, so measure across 45, nice and square, and we'll join those two lines up like that. Okay, then we should have a line across here, but we're gonna put a break through it. So find the center, put a little break through it, and firm that line up. Okay, we've also got one for this right hand side. Put a line down here, really faint, find the center, put a little break in it like that. There you go. Okay, so to finish this drawing off before you submit it, we've obviously got a few dimensions to put on. We've got our width here, we've got our 1:4 ratio, we've got our overall height, overall length, and we've also got a few dimensions for our section and a little bit of printing to do as well, and obviously our hatching for our end grain here. So please go ahead and do that. Take a photo, please submit when you're finished.